attitude in practice today, coming off a win as opposed to the last few weeks where you had some, losing results?
No, not really. It was seemed like business as usual, with focus, and no, it seemed similar, the same as it always is.
Jeff, 8 years ago, a long time ago, you guys played Texas Tech with Leach. Was that the first time you'd come across the spread? Was it kind of new then still, and had you played it against it before? And what are your recollections of that game, if you are willing to share them?
Well, not very good, actually. It, it was a very disappointing time for us not getting to the Rose Bowl that year and going to that game. And they played very well, and so that didn't turn out obviously the way we wanted it. But yeah, his the spread out, throw the ball all the time. It's a little different than the spread stuff that you're seeing with all the quarterback run stuff. But the options are not a lot of that goes into it. But it's mainly just a spread pass attack with spreading you all over the field and hitting the run up inside, creating space inside, big line splits and trying to create space inside for the run game. And so a little bit different than the normal, what people call the spread attack now with all the quarterback zone reads.
Had you played against that before at that time? You'd seen much?
I can't remember. Like I said, it was just really a spread passing attack. At that time, it wasn't. I can't remember. That's a long time ago. We even played that year.
Right. Okay. Good. To follow up on that a little bit, do you see a lot of similar? Is he still doing the same stuff? Leach still doing the same things that Washington State he was doing there? Has it changed at all, or is it pretty much the same?
Looks like the same. It's spread out, throwing the football. They throw it a lot. They 70% pass, 30% run. So they lead with the pass without a doubt. And Wilson being a great receiver and two really good quarterbacks. Both those quarterbacks, Halliday or Toole, are both very good quarterbacks. And where they end up hurting you is when they scramble, make big plays with their legs when they scramble. When things aren't there, they're very, very efficient at pulling the ball down and making big plays.
Can you talk a little bit about the impact of the young guys on defense, Jackson and Forbes and Broussard, and how they're affecting things with them getting more playing time now?
Yeah, they've really done a nice job. You talked about all those guys: Scarlett, Broussard, Jalen Jefferson, Nick Forbes, Avery, Michael Lowe, all those guys. Jackson came in and played a real nice game. So yeah, they've definitely given us a boost in there. They're playing very hard, and there's a lot of young guys on defense. When you take in consideration McCain, and all those guys are very young players. They're Jalil. So about all guys that are, true sophomores or redshirt freshmen.
If you made a point, I believe it was Sunday, of saying that Mark Anthony is your starter there. But given this offense that you're going to face this week, would Jackson just by necessity get more playing time because of the scheme of the Washington State offense?
No, it will depend on how Mark feels. If Mark's ready to play, then Mark will play. If he's not 100%, then then Cameron can play and do a nice job. So it just depends on how Mark's doing.
I guess I meant as far as a nickel or dime scheme, having Jackson on the field as another cornerback.
Well, we'll have to see. Different nickel's a different position, but Cam has played nickel before, so he does understand it. And so we'll just have to see how it shakes down in game planning through the week.
Jeff, Zach took in that last game, I think, 8 to 10 hits, really big hits after making the throws. And is he doing a better job of staying in the pocket and not scrambling to, waiting for the things to open up than he was maybe earlier?
He did last week, yeah. Yeah, he took some shots last week. And that was a real focus that we had put on what he needs to do in the pocket of not, flushing out of the pocket. And so I thought he did a great job of hanging in there and not making poor decisions. And when he had to eat the ball or pull it down, he did. But he stood in there very nice. And, that's a quarterback's job. That's going to happen from time to time. There's not a lot of people see that, but there's a lot of shots quarterbacks take after the ball's gone. So he took some good ones.
The thinking was that by inheriting Wilson and Holiday and Toole, that it would be a pretty natural transition to Leach's offense, and yet they're down about a touchdown scoring per game. How hard is it, even though you may have personnel that fits your system, to put your scheme in that first year or two?
Well, I know, their scheme has always been a spread pass attack, so it did fit well, and they're still productive, but I don't know, because I don't know what they teach or what their schemes are, or what the difference is in what they did before, but they lined up in 4 wides before, and they line up in 4 wides now, and they do similar things, so I don't know exactly, what the difference in their transition is. I don't know what they're asking them to do differently.
Jeff, getting back to Zach, besides hanging in there against the rush, what else did you see in this game that he did better than, say, the game before or other games where he hasn't played as well? And what's it going to take for him to become that consistent guy you need?
Well, it's to play, kind of do the same things. Each week there's new obstacles, new challenges, team by team. And, it's going to take everybody helping him out as well, and giving him some space to throw the ball. Sometimes if there's space to throw it and you're still taking hits, that's fine. But if there's not space, then it makes it very difficult. So, and again, staying out of extra long situations where we're not putting him in a position where he's got to hang on to the ball for a long time. We're 6 of 11 on 3rd downs last week, which is an improvement from weeks prior, but we also stayed out of 3rd and longs. And so, consistency is the key for Zach. I think, we understand that. And so, but it has to do with everybody around him as well, not just him.
How is Rodgers holding up after extensive action? And also is your ability now to throw to the tight end more extensively really opening up the offense for the next few games? Well,
it's nice to have some tight ends back. We've been out 3 tight ends, and so that's been challenging. It was nice to see him back, even though he's still not 100%. He's still through practice, limps around a little bit and things like that. So him and Work still are hobbled, but getting through it. But if he can play it, he can get down the field. He's a big target. He's got great hands, and it does allow you to do some things in that personnel group and utilize him, be it in the middle of the field or outside, to try to create some personnel matchup issues.
Washington State's defense, it looked like they shut down Oregon State pretty well, at least kept them off the scoreboard. Did you describe their defense and what sort of things they do and the strengths?
Yeah, they do a lot. They're relentless getting after the passer. They get after you pretty well. They get a lot of tackles for loss. They play really hard. Very good safety in Buchanan. Long is a relentless pass rusher. They do a lot of different things with him. They put him down outside as an end. They put him inside. They put him as an outside linebacker, an inside linebacker, so they move him all around. And very aggressive on defense. They really try to get after you. And they got the Oregon State's quarterback and put a lot of pressure on him.
I think we talked about this briefly a week ago. This is the 3rd team in a row you'll have faced that has a new coach from a year ago. Can you talk again about the the difficulties of playing a team that you don't have much of a book on?
Yeah, you're starting from scratch, really. You know, you're right, this is the third week in a row that you can't look back at last year's game plan or, you know, off-season film study or things like that because there's really hardly any history behind them. So it's a third week in a row that you're starting from scratch with seeing what they've done through the season. And, you know, and they mix it up a lot, so they're not your standardized, they do this, they do a lot of things on defense and play very hard with it and played really well against Oregon State. Oregon State's been doing a great job on offense.
Given what you said about Mike Leach's offense not changing, is there a sense of familiarity with that side of the ball as you're preparing for Washington State? Did you know what you're going to get?
It's different. You know, it's different in that, you know, that was a long time ago. We had a different coordinator. We had a different scheme at the time. I mean, we're different now too than we were back then. You know, so it, you know, there's not a lot of carryover from our defensive staff to say, hey, we did this back then and so on and so forth. It's really, we're a different defense and schematically and a different defensive staff, so it's different.
And what you're saying is that even though it's a spread, this one's different than most of the other ones because of the quarterback running component's not really there?
It's not there as much as, say, like the pistol or, you know, things like that. They'll do some of it, but it's not as big a part of what they do. They're more spread pass attack, where, take UCLA for instance. You know, UCLA is built off of the run and the read, where the pass game goes around that. It's not drop back pass all the time. It's mostly play action, tight bubbles, and, you know, I think there was 20 times in the UCLA game that they threw bubbles outside or had some sort of bubble built in to what they were doing. You know, off the play action, throw it on the swing to the fly guy or away from the fly guy or all that. That's not what these guys do. These guys aren't, you know, fly and fake it and quarterback read and all that kind of stuff. It's a spread out pass attack, mainly with the ability to run the ball inside of his own plays or draw plays, but not, you know, not an overly big option read team. And a little bit, but nowhere near what I guess typically you would call I don't know if you call it the spread attack or not, but it's different, more of a passing game.
It looked like Oregon State kept the ball away from them pretty well by running the ball and being effective with that. Is that an attack that makes some sense against them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, they're not easy to run on, but we have to stay balanced. There's no doubt about it. And you know, and I thought that was the key to last week, was we were able to stay balanced with the run and the pass, and we're going to need to do the same this week.
What sort of challenge does Marquess Wilson present for your secondary, and how do you go about wrangling a rangy guy who can get going pretty quickly?
Well, he's very fast. He's 6'4", so he is very rangy, and they'll throw the ball up to him, and he'll go up and get it. And the quarterbacks are very accurate. You know, they get rid of the ball, they hang in there. They're very competitive guys and quarterbacks, and so Wilson can get deep on you. He can catch the underneath stuff and do something with the ball, but he poses a problem with his size because of his length and his height. That he can go up and get the ball over people.
How's Gallus doing physically? Is he likely to play, and is Barr likely to play?
Gallus, you talk?
Yeah.
I don't know, today he practiced some, so he's making progress. So we'll see. You know, I haven't talked to the trainers after practice. I saw he had ice on his shoulder after practice, but I'm sure that's probably preventative. But he felt great, you know, going through the beginning of practice, and had some contact, and so he's on his way back. I can't really say when he'd be ready. It's kind of hard to go from 0 to game speed, you know, and be able to do that. So there's going to be a little progression that's going to need to take place for him to be effective in a game.
And is Barr likely to play?
Who?
Barr? Todd Barr?
I don't know.
Is there an update on Kyrie Fort, have you made a decision?
Kyrie will not, I'm pretty confident saying Kyrie will not play this year.
Is he, how is he with that, frustrated or understands?
No, actually, I think it's something where, yeah, he wants to make sure that his knees are right, and so it hasn't responded the way he or we would have hoped. But you know, I think there could be another procedure coming along to see if we can help that out a little bit. But he understands that he can't, you know, I'm sure he's probably frustrated after having a knee problem that's been there for a while, but I want to make sure he's right, and, you know, till he gets out there. And so while he may be frustrated, he understands that first things first, and that's to get healthy.
Harvey Leach announced yesterday that he was going to start Halliday. As a coach preparing for a team, when they have two quarterbacks, do you worry about that? Do you believe that? Do you have to prepare for both guys anyway?
Yeah, you have to prepare for both, and they're both very similar. They're really, you know, they're very efficient in the pass game, and both very tough in the pocket, and they have great vision. They're both good-sized guys. They have good vision down the field, and very accurate throwing the ball. So both of them are quality guys, and both of them can pull it down and hurt you with their legs. When you cover things and they find a crease, they can make some things happen running the football.
Okay, guys, time for one final question. As of right now, do you know if you're going to have Mark Anthony able to play?
I don't know. He practiced today.
Okay, thanks a lot, you guys.
All right.